Celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, later celebrated in Mark Twain's famous story, the International Frog Jump gets underway at Angels Camp, California.
So yeah, frog jumping's a sport. Frog jumping. Hi, I'm Dylan, and this is Not Exactly Normal. Well, most of the animal sports and animal cruelty bonanzas that I like to talk about on this channel are fortunately long extinct. This sport is alive and jumping. Primarily in the United States, there is somewhat of a cottage industry built around the unfortunately not lost sport of frog jumping.
Come on, Joanne! Come on, Joanne! One more! Come on! Get down low! There you go.
And they say white people don't have culture. While both the extinct sports of fox tossing and octopus wrestling found intrigue in forcing animals to perform unnatural behaviors, frog jumping is all about forcing frogs to do exactly what they do best: jumping.
Bullfrogs are the largest of the American frogs. It's quite a trick to catch one, since they jump very quickly and sometimes make leaps of from 8 to 10 feet long.
The rules of frog jumping are fairly straightforward. Essentially, your frog gets 3 jumps in any direction. The total of the 3 jumps are added, and the final number is your score.
By a great something or other, the winner's name was Can't Take It, at 15 feet 6 1/2 inches. Not bad by a long jump.
In order to get your frog to jump, you can scream at it, yell profanities, slap the ground around it, chase it, or jump after it, much like a frog yourself.
And sometimes it's a little difficult to tell the frog from his excited, over-enthusiastic owner.
You know, things frogs tend to face in the wild. While most animal-based sports are from a bygone era where presumably people had nothing better to do, frog jumping is not that old. It began, as many of these things do, with Mark Twain. In November of 1865, Twain published a fictionalized account of a friend who trained a frog named Daniel to jump farther than any frog in the county, in order to, place bets on it. Because loot boxes didn't exist yet, so they had to gamble with what they had, and what they had was apparently frogs. The gambler, named Smiley, ended up being swindled by a stranger for $40, and that could buy you a house back then. The stranger duped Smiley by feeding Smiley's prize jumper buckshot, literally stuffing him alive with ammo. Chill dude. The story took place in Angels Camp in Calaveras County, and the city, to this day, hangs their fame on that one tale. To double down on that story, they started an annual frog jumping competition, a mere 63 years after the story's publication. Things took a while to get going back then. The event was an effort to boost tourism, as well as to celebrate the paving of their main street. It was a big deal back then. And if you've been up Mount Pleasant, it's a big deal today. The event was and is called the annual Jumping Frog Jubilee. It's surprising how cheery the word Jubilee makes animal abuse sound, but I guess people like it. It was held in Angels Camp, California in May of 1928, and over 15,000 people showed up. That's like 1 million in today's people. While 1928 was a hell of a long time ago, the photos make the event look a lot more old-timey than it actually was. Angels Camp was a gold rush town, and so they dressed up the town and the people in the hippest stylings of the day. Beards, hoop skirts, and they carried revolvers. I think we actually have footage of that day.
Gold! Gold! Beautiful gold! Nuggets as big as your fist!
The winner that day was the Jumping Frog of San Joaquin, who outjumped 50 other frogs with a total distance of 3 feet and 9 inches. Second place went to a frog named Budweiser, named after its diet of hops. Glad to see corporate sponsorship was alive and well back then. Though how a frog reportedly fed nothing but hops not only survived to make it to the competition, but placed is beyond me. But today, like how old Olympic 100-meter freestyles or F1 pit stops are painfully slow to watch by modern standards, the frogs, and I guess the frog spookers, which are comedically yet unimaginatively called jockeys, have gotten a lot better. The current world record is held by Rosie the Ribbiter, a frog that jumped 21 feet and 5 1/4 inches for Lee Guidici in 1986. Rosie is a badass. You don't want to f with Rosie. I should mention that the cash prize of $1,500 went entirely to Lee, and none went to Rosie. who, if you ask me, did most of the work. At the first Jubilee, they didn't have too much in the way of rules. It was a bit of a slap-happy mess. But by 1930, they had started to solidify the game. It was for those games that they established the modern 3-jump rule. This is why the records from today's frog jumps are so much higher than the originals. Not only have the jockeys gotten a lot better, but the measuring system completely changed. The contest today is held in the Calaveras County Fairgrounds, which is also known as Frogtown, of course. Over the years, the frog abuse, or festivities, grew. More frogs, more fans, more jockeys. And they added more events like horse racing, slick pig catching, log cutting competitions, and recreations of hangings. You know, family fun. After the war ended, frog jumping went into overdrive. Through the 1960s, they rebranded, but in a good way, to the Frog Olympics, and they welcomed competitors from around the globe. Japan, Philippines, Kenya, Iran, Australia, and the Netherlands all had representing frogs and frog jockeys. These international competitors were a big draw, and over 30,000 people showed up every year to witness the frog Sanity.
The croakers bear such distinguished names as Winnie and Clem from England, a Canadian jumper, Thames River Tom, fed on vitamins made from genuine Canadian maple leaves, and African Magic and Cape of Good Hope, who arrived all the way from South Africa by plane. Phew, this is really international.
The competition spread beyond the United States, and soon South Africa, Germany, and France would begin their own competitions. The numbers have continued to grow. In 2015, the Jubilee drew in over 45,000 spectators and reportedly generated over $7 million in revenue. And that's a lot more in today's dollars. Thousands of frogs are entered into the competition every year, as each jockey can enter as many as 20. Only bullfrogs are allowed in the competition, but I think allowing different types of frogs would help bring in new audiences and spice things up. Tree frogs would be the obvious show stealers, but since jockeys are disqualified if they touch their frog post-jump, I think poison dart frogs would really help take the stakes to the next level. While I've made my feelings about terrifying frogs into jumping thrice quite clear, there is also an environmental concern. Ugh, liberals. The competition is held in California, to which the required frogs, American bullfrogs, are not native, and are in fact one of the most effective invasive species in the world. While the rules clearly state that the jockeys are to return the frogs to where they were originally captured, it has been reported that sometimes the frogs are released near the fairgrounds, where they outcompete the local struggling frog species and, you know, destroy everything. Family fun! So what should I talk about next? Please let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for new episodes of Not Exactly Normal as often as I can make them. Thanks for watching.
First to fight for the right